ජනතාව සමග with the people மக்களுடன் ජනතාව සමග with the people with the people.
News First with the people.
Good evening and welcome to your news on TV1. You're watching News First, where the people come first. It's been an eventful day and we have all the details right here. But first, let's take a look at your headlines.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
President calls for a meeting with government parties. 4 ministers reappointed hours after resignation. Johnston Fernando says there is no need to resign from his ministerial position.
69 ලක්ෂයක් ඡන්දෙ දීලා ඒ 69 ලක්ෂයෙන් එතුමා එහෙම එතුමා ඉල්ලලා අස්සෙන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Tear gas fired at protesters to prevent attacks on houses of ministers. People staged protest. Army commander meets defense advisors at foreign missions. Chief prelates call on president to avoid suppressing peaceful protests by the people.
News First headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Demonstrations were held in many areas surrounding Colombo today. We begin our coverage with a protest march that was held from the Nelumpokuna Theatre to the Independence Square in Colombo this evening. Let's now take a look at the demonstration that was organized near the Nelumpokuna Theatre this afternoon.
Family, go home! Go home, go down! Go home, go down!
As the public of Sri Lanka, they are sick and tired of this sick Rajapaksa regime. They should leave the country.
Please
Sri Lanka, go home!
Unify the state. You came into power by dividing our country, but you finally unified all 22 million people as one. Thank you for that. Now time to go.
I mean, so very disappointed Paksas.
People have a right to protest constitutionally, socially. We have our civic rights. It's a non-violent, peaceful protest, and I think the people here have spoken as a collective conscience. There's nothing else to say. The evidence is here. Just look around.
Burdened by the worst economic situation, the country's protest is currently being staged. Now, these people are not affiliated to any political party and they are not driven by politics. They are just simply innocent people, just like you and I, who have come here today to the streets to express their genuine frustration. They have only one basic request, that is to save their country from this situation. For the News First team, I'm Naveksha Gunasekara reporting to you from Colombo.
Demonstrations were held at the Independence Square in Colombo since this morning. Let's now move on to a protest that was held opposite the Shangri-La Hotel in Colombo.
We've had enough. I think you can see. We've come to a point we've had enough and people need answers. And the only way out is for 225, including the President and the Prime Minister, to resign. Please, that's the only favor that they can this time ever in history. Public has one thing. We want all 225 out. We want GOAT out. We want Prime Minister out. And we want skillful people. We want people with knowledge, people who can handle this country.
Now, protests are continuing to be held in several suburbs of Colombo at present. One of these demonstrations was held in Rajagiriya today. And yet another protest was held, this time near Town Hall. In more protests, the Inter-University Students' Federation organized a protest in Nugegoda today. The protest affected the movement of vehicles along the high-level road in Nugegoda. Protesters were seen marching from the Nugegoda flyover towards Colombo.
Frustrated citizens who are not affiliated to any political party staged protests against the government today as well. The protesters demanded a solution for the ongoing crises and also for the government to resign. A protest was held opposite the clock tower in Kandy against the oppression carried out by the government and the issues faced by the people. The protesters who gathered at the Kandy town blocked one lane along the Dalada Vidya, chanting slogans to remove the corrupt rulers in the country. Thousands of young people were among those who joined the protest. A protest was also held in Gampola calling on the government to resign in the wake of the rising issues. Staged a protest near the main bus stand in the area.
A group called the Voice of Independent Artists gathered at Diathuena in Bathramula this morning. People who are travelling through the area participated in the protest.
They came into power with the mandate of the people. Similarly, they must step aside respecting the mandate of the people. They are incapable and filled with greed. They are only focused on looting the public money. They can't run a country. We didn't come here on behalf of anyone. The Rajapakshas must step aside. That is what the people are demanding. Therefore, leave.
The people are suffering. They are not expecting any from government. The president, who can't provide solutions to the prevailing issues, understood the meaning of the slogan "Go Home, Gota" yesterday and did what he could. After blocking social media and closing down the country, he understood the situation. I am glad that he understood that. President Gotabaya, please go home. You have no alternative right now. Arresting and causing the disappearances of young people is not what should happen now. Resigning is the only thing that needs to happen.
Some artists engaged in a protest opposite the president's office this evening.
Artists never take part in protests. However, all of Sri Lanka is protesting with one request. We need to change.
The people are burdened heavily. As artists, we are very sensitive to this. We came here regardless of our party politics. We need a good country free of corruption, with an environment conducive to the people and a just society.
This is the country that we have to live. Rations.
We are not just saying go home. All corrupt politicians should. The solution is not to send Gota home, but to send them into prison. They must be in this country so that we can recover whatever they have stolen. This struggle must be carried out in a way that they can. All artists have taken to the streets. Please go home. Hand over the responsibility of running the country to someone capable.
Sri Lankans are organizing protests overseas against the mounting issues faced by the people in the country. Many protests were organized in the US today. A demonstration was held opposite the house of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's son in Los Angeles. The protesters chanted slogans demanding the president to move back to the US. A protest was also organized in Staten Island in New York, where many Sri Lankans are living at present.
Rajapaksa resign today. Rajapaksa resign today. Vikuna kanna dena. Me hati kare apne appa.
Sri Lankans also organized a protest in San Francisco today. A protest was organized at the Times Square in New York, demanding a solution to the problems faced by people in Sri Lanka. A demonstration had been organized by Sri Lankans in the US state of Texas as well. Sri Lankans also held a protest opposite the parliamentary complex in Canada's capital of Ottawa. More than 200 Sri Lankans participated in a protest in Toronto opposing the Sri Lankan government. Protests were also held in A demonstration was held in Australia's city of Melbourne today as well. Sri Lankans also organized a protest in Japan's city of Tokyo. Sri Lankans organized protests in several parts of Italy today. One protest was held in the Italian city of Brescia.
Chief Government Whip Johnston Fernando says the president still holds the people's mandate and that a strange wave of protests can be seen in the country.
The president has received the people's mandate. 6.9 million people have voted for him. So there is no need for him to resign. There is a constitution to be followed. Anyone can ask him to resign. I feel we still have the strange wave of protests. We haven't clashed with the people. We understand that these are difficult times for them. An election must be held to find out the stance of the people.
I
am not talking about the 6.9 million votes. You asked whether we still have the voter base. How can we calculate the amount of support? Can we count individually? We must hold an election. I feel this has been created by some in the opposition, but there are some people who are genuinely frustrated by the power cuts and the shortage of diesel and gas. They have taken to the streets because of that as well. We must admit that.
Now, in the meantime, police used tear gas to disperse protesters near Carlton House in Tangol and the office of the former Minister Rohita Abegunawardena. Protesters chanted slogans demanding the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the government for failing to resolve the problems of the people. They also demanded for looted funds to be returned to the people and to bring the perpetrators before the law.
A protest was held by obstructing the Katharagava main road near the Carlton House in Tangol today. Barricades were set up around Carlton House, while a heavy presence of police officers were also seen in the area. The police obstructed the brother of the Samagi Janabalavege parliamentarian Dilip Vedarachi from joining the protest. The police set up barricades to prevent the protesters from moving forward. Lawyers were among those who joined the demonstration. The police had initially denied permission for an ambulance transporting a sick patient from passing through the second ring of barricades during the protest. However, the police allowed the ambulance to proceed following requests by the protesters. Police fired tear gas and water cannons at protesters who held the demonstration near the second ring of barricades for several hours. Police and Special Task Force officers had been stationed for security around Carlton House today. A demonstration was launched this afternoon near the office of former Minister Rohita Abegunawardena in Kalutara. Anti-riot squad personnel had been stationed for security around the office. Fired tear gas to disperse the protesters.
අතදරුවෝ ඉන්න තැන් වලට මු කඳුළු ගෑස් ගෑවලා කාලා කන්නේ මේ ළමයි අඬන විදිය බලපන් මේ
protest was held near the residence of former State Minister Nimal Lanka in Negombo last night.
අපිට දින්ගලක්වත් ඉල්ලගෙන විකුණ ගන්න නෙමෙයි මේ ඉගෙන ගන්න වෙනුවෙන් අනාගත ඉපදෙන දරුවෝ වෙනුවෙන් රටක් හදන්නයි 100ක් විතර දාලා ලැජ්ජයි අනේ කොටාගත්තෝ වද දෙන්නකෝ යන්න ලැජ්ජයි මුඩු සමය රකින්න පොලිසිය 100ක් දාලා මෙතනට මෙතන පක්ෂ පාට නැහැ මාත්‍රු මෙතන පක්ෂ පාට නැහැ මේ කුඩේම රකින්න එපා කියන්නේ වත්කම් පෙන්නන්න කියන්නේ ඕක කරන්න කියන්නේ මෙච්චර සායේ නෝඩික් කරන්න අපි දැක්ක අපි විශ්වාස කරන්නේ නේ අපේ දරුවෝ පයින් යන්නේ මේක අපේ රට අපේ දරුවෝගේ රට අපේ දරුවෝගේ දුක ඕනම රට උන්වහන්සේ වයිස් කරලා ඉතින් කොහොමද මුගේ ගෙවල් අයියෝ අනිත් කරා අහිංසක මිනිස්සුන්ට අද රාජාගේ කඳු දෙන්න දරුවන්ට තමබෝස දිලා සමබෝස ලුණු බෝල් කට්ට ලුණු නෑ අපි කාර්යද කියන්නේ.
The protesters dispersed after a few hours. A protest was held at the Tissa Maharama town today. Tensions arose when the police attempted to obstruct protesters who held the demonstration by blocking one lane along the Tissa Maharama Katharagama main road. Barricades were set up at all by-roads leading to the residence of Minister Chamal Rajapaksa after the protest march began. A protest march was launched from the Sanat Jayasuriya grounds in Mathura today. The protesters then held a demonstration near the residence of State Minister Kanchana Wijesekara. Security was tightened around the residence of the State Minister. The protesters dispersed after several hours. Protesters also marched towards the residence of former Minister Ramesh Patirana in Kitulampitiya. Former Minister. Residents of Dambulla held a protest by obstructing the Jaffna Kandy main road near the economic centre. They marched to the residence of State Minister Janaka Bandara Thenakone in Yapagama. The protesters then held a demonstration opposite the residence of the mayor. A protest was held opposite the residence of State Minister Indika Anuruddha in Dewlapitiya yesterday. The State Minister left the area amidst tight security. Security has been tightened near the residence of State Minister Indika Anuruddha. A ritual was held near the residence and office of State Minister Channa Jayasumana in Anuradhapura.
A protest was held in opposite the residence of State Minister Roshan Ranasinghe this evening. Protesters also held a demonstration near the residence of parliamentarian Keheliya Rambukwella.
And the protests continue. Minister Gaman Lokuge in Piliyandala today. And we must now cross over for a short commercial break. Do stay tuned.
Tech Bus, launched to increase the tech know-how of Sri Lankan students, concludes on a successful note. Organised by Slit Institute.
Tech Bus.
Main sponsor.
Slit Knowledge University. Challenging convention and redefining education.
Welcome back to News First. The chief prelates of the three main Buddhist sects have written to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. They have condemned moves to suppress peaceful protests. By chief prelates pointed out that taking such measures without understanding the people's objection is unacceptable.
Students of the Uvavellasa University staged a protest demanding for the resignation of the president and the cabinet. The demonstration was held at the Badulla town despite heavy showers. A protest was staged in the protest. A protest was organized by the students of the Green University in Homagama against the current administration. Students of the Jaffna University also staged a demonstration against the government today. The demonstration was held opposite the EPDP party office. Students of the Southeastern University also organized the demonstration. A protest was held at the Galaha junction with the participation of lecturers and non-academic staff attached to the Peradeniya University. Doctors, nurses and other employees at the Colombo National Hospital staged a protest during their lunch break today. They demanded solutions to several issues including the shortage of medicine. The health service is facing a massive crisis. There is no medicine or equipment. Employees don't even have transport facilities. Some hospitals don't have electricity either. The government has failed. Gotabaya has failed. The president, the prime minister and the government must resign. They have proved that they cannot do this. We wish to inform the government to avoid clinging on to their positions. Doctors, nurses and employees of the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital staged a protest demanding the government to resolve the shortage of medicine. There is a shortage of medicine. There is also a shortage of surgical equipment. People who used to obtain treatment in our wards daily are now only obtaining treatment once in every few days.
News First with the people.
We now cross over to a short commercial break.
Tech Bus, launched to increase the tech know-how of Sri Lankan students, concludes on organized by Slit Institute.
Tech Bus.
Main sponsor.
Slit Knowledge University. Challenging convention and redefining education.
Welcome back to News First.
Resign. We are asking the entire government to resign. The slogan of the protesters is not just Gota go home. They are saying Gota go to jail. Lawyers held a silent protest outside the courts complex in Galle as well. The protesters marched to the Galle town and held a demonstration near the Galle bus stand.
The Lawyers for Freedom Collective today stressed that the 20th Amendment